Hey kiddies, it's Triple Feature Tuesday once again, and this week we're doing the You Had 20 Years to Make a Sequel Triple Feature. That's right, these are three new installments, sequels to movies that came out 20 to 30 years prior. Now, these are three movies where the problem isn't that they made sequels to movies well after anybody stopped caring. This is not like your Blues Brothers 2000s or your Color of Monies. These are franchises that were active in some media ever since the last movie came out, and then finally we get a new movie, and yet all they did was remake the original film. You had 20 plus years to come up with a new idea. There's any number of fan media that you could have used as a jumping off point for your new idea, but no, you remade that first movie for reasons that nobody really understands, considering that you guys were supposed to be creative people. So our menu is going to go in order of increasing watchability, and so our menu will include Superman Returns, Star Wars The Force Awakens, and Tron Legacy. Back in the 70s, Richard Donner promised us that we would believe that a man could fly. God damn it, he delivered on that. Superman, the original, or Superman the movie, is still one of the best superhero movies ever made. All this time later, because it was casted perfectly, it's acted very well. Christopher Reeve makes both the Clark Kent and the Superman character and/or dichotomy so believable in that film. Like, everybody else is basically only ever doing a Christopher Reeve impression ever since. And not for nothing, the special effects still hold up. Like the flying through the air, he looks good when he's flying, when he's lifting up the train rail to keep it up, and then he's letting it go over him, or when he's going down into the depths of the earth to fix the tectonic plate. Everything still looks good. And this was before they even added those couple of extra scenes in the special edition, which the little gauntlet with Lex Luthor, which makes it look even better. And then they made three more movies. There was Superman 2, which was essentially supposed to be like the continuation of just Superman 1. Like, Richard Donner was making Superman 1 and 2 at the same time, and it was basically filmed as one big movie until the Salkins got worried that they were taking too long and then rushed everything and then fired him. And because he had only made that first movie that made them all the money. And so Richard Lester, I believe, finished Superman 2, and then directed Superman 3 with Richard Pryor, which was not the best movie. And then they conned Christopher Reeve into coming back for Superman 4 because he wanted to make this pet project movie of his. I believe it's Street Talk. And so it's just like, we'll give you all this money to make Street Talk if you do Superman one more time. And as a result, you get a Superman movie that was made, that really comes off as made just for the money that they were getting paid for. And then no Superman movies for quite some time. There was the Lois and Clark television show and the Smallville show, but comics still running, but no Superman movies. And this was around the time that the X-Men and the Spider-Man movies were starting to make a lot of buck. Hey, why don't we get Superman back? And so we give it to Bryan Singer, who had up to this point had made the first two X-Men movies, which are good movies. And he was in pre-production for X-Men 3 when he got the call to say, you could make X-Men 3, finish your trilogy of films the way you want it to, maybe give the world that rare, and I'm pretty sure non-existent, good third superhero movie, and or just minimum cement your legacy on this film franchise. Or you could make Superman, and he immediately went for Superman, and Superman Returns. Superman Returns is just Superman. Superman the movie, rather. It's the same exact plot. It is plot point for plot point, the same exact movie. Clark goes to Metropolis, does some daring do, flies around with Lois Lane in a semi-romantic fashion. Lex Luthor develops an absurd scheme for an absurd land grab real estate scheme that will also murder millions and millions of people. and somehow Superman saves the day. That is Superman Returns. That is also Superman the movie, except we don't have any of the charm of the original movie, and this is only partly because of the cast, which we might as well go into it now. Look, I love Brandon Routh. I liked Brandon Routh in the Superman movie, and I have liked him ever since. I have watched him grow into a much stronger actor than he was in Superman Returns, and as a result, I was thrilled during the recent CW DC crossover shows where he got to be. I believe that is Superman Returns Superman, just older and a bit wiser and more weathered, and as a result, he acts it perfectly because this was just the talent was there, but the experience wasn't yet, and it shows. Brandon's a little wooden. He fills out the suit perfectly. But also, I don't think they gave him any lines in that movie. He speaks so little. I can't really remember much of anything about his dialogue, or much of anybody's. I remember Lois Lane whining throughout the entire film because it's just like you had Kate Bosworth, who, again, just seems a little too young for the role. Like, she's supposed to won the Pulitzer, grizzled city reporter, and also have a 10-year-old kid. And again, I don't know that it's her as an actress, or if it's just all the lines that they give her are just whiny. I used to date Superman, and then he left, and then I got pissed, and now he's back, and I'm going to be mean about it, but then at the end of the movie, I'm just going to be deliriously happy again. Kevin Spacey was an inspired choice for Lex Luthor, if only because both of the film version of Lex Luthor and the real-life version of Kevin Spacey are perpetually hiding the fact that they're bald. And he goes at it with scenery-chewing gusto, and he's the only one that seems to understand, what the movie is supposed to be, even though it isn't, and he goes for it. Now, unfortunately, there's not a lot to go for. Where, I say the movie doesn't have the charm of the original film because in the original film, Clark Kent Superman is a perfect metaphor for the immigrant, or the ideal immigrant experience in America. And by ideal immigrant, I'm not saying, hey, a white guy with superpowers. I'm saying you come to this country, you're welcomed, and when given the opportunity, you can succeed. That is what the dream of America should be. That is part of what the dream of Superman should be. And it's expressed in Richard Donner's film very well. This one, they made Superman a deadbeat dad for reasons I don't understand. But so all of a sudden, Lois has a kid, and it's heavily implied and then just short of flat out stated at the end of the film that it is Superman's illegitimate child, which, as Kevin Smith points out, Lois would have no memory of the conception of because of the memory erasing kiss at the end of Superman 2. So, yeah, and Superman's just lonely and whiny, and all of this could be fine if you understand, if you approach the remaking the original movie with the right mindset, which is to say, they did a good movie back then, but what can we do now with the special effects that are available to us? And they don't even do that. There are no supervillains, so we don't really get titanic fights that we would later get in Man of Steel, which were exciting, if not horrifying. But it's just more Superman doing daring do, which I enjoy a lot. But most of it was stuff we had seen in the previous films, except for the plane sequence. And the plane sequence is equal parts great and terrible. It does a good job of showing just how much of a pain in the ass landing a jumbo jet would be, even if you're Superman. It acknowledges the physics of the thing, and it doesn't give Superman any easy outs in terms of, where can I grab it, what can I pull, where can I lift. Everything has physical, real-world consequences. Except for Lois Lane. Interspersed through the whole sequence is Lois, who had not put on her seatbelt, bouncing and crashing through the passenger section of this plane for about 10 minutes, and every single impact is either a lifelong paralysis injury or just death over and over again. And it's so distracting and annoying, as opposed to the movie, which is just boring. There's whole stretches of this movie that I don't remember because I'm pretty sure nothing happens in them. I don't get it. There's, what, at that point, 70 to 80 years worth of Superman comics, and this is what you would come up with? A remake of the first movie? I don't understand. And the only thing Bryan Singer really brings to it, in terms of, real Bryan Singerisms, is he brought James Marsden on board to not get the girl again. What did James Marsden ever do to Hollywood other than be charming and gorgeous? And yet he never, ever is allowed to get the girl in anything. That's part of the reason why I'm afraid to watch that Sonic the Hedgehog movie, because I don't want to see him not get the girl when she dumps him for a blue animated hedgehog. It's going to be terrible. Also, little side note, the costume, the Superman costume, does not look bad in this film, but when it comes to directors, everybody and their brother is worried that the original Superman costume is going to look stupid, which, fun fact, it didn't look stupid in the 70s. It doesn't look stupid now. They always make the mistake of we'll just make it darker. And so if you look at it, Brandon Routh's Superman costume, color-wise, is almost exactly the evil Bizarro Superman costume from Superman 3. So, man, that sets a tone immediately. Next up, we've got J.J. Abrams' Star Wars, The Force Awakens. Now, again, to set the scene, the last Return of the Jedi came out in 1983. And then there were 16 years of no Star Wars. And then in 1999 began through George Lucas's prequel trilogy, which ranged from, bad, but there's like one or two scenes that I enjoy, to just bad. Like, we're not talking, bad like, oh, it's Star Wars, so it's a little bit silly and we forgive it because, it's high fantasy space opera. I mean, bad. I don't think people that grew up on the prequels will ever really... They will always be too close to it. And so they will never really understand just how not good those movies is. The closest is understanding, even though you grew up with it, that Return of the Jedi is not that good of a movie. It's fine. It's much finer in comparison to a lot of the movies that came out afterwards, but man... Ewoks. It hurts everything. So, 16 years of no movies. Then about 5 or 6 years of bad George Lucas movies. And after that, it was rough. It was even rougher than, the absence of movies was less of a problem than the presence of worse movies. And so, if nothing else, I believe The Force Awakens succeeds as a proof of concept movie that we can like Star Wars again. There will be good Star Wars movies in the future, even if this movie, The Force Awakens, is not that great. It is a remake of A New Hope, and if you don't believe me, just skip ahead to the part where Han Solo, honest to God, just calls the big planet killer machine, oh, it's just a Death Star, but bigger. Pro tip. Don't point these things out. I mean, we're going to pick up on it, and we're going to be like, this will be a thing we'll discuss later about, pros and cons. Don't draw attention to it in the film. Much like Superman Returns, this movie is just flat out a remake of A New Hope. It starts with, a secret bit of information that is on... God damn it, it's not even for the Death Star, it's just Luke's location. Somehow Luke Skywalker is missing. And they've got part of a map, but not the whole map. And, the crucial middle section of the map is missing. When they finally put the whole things together, it looks like the straight line it looks like the straight line that the map now completes. They were missing this middle section, but it feels like they had the beginning and they had the end. And so, it's fine. It's on a desert planet. We meet a person that has an air of destiny about them. They get pulled off planet on the Millennium Falcon and then drawn into the rebellion, which is still going because even though we had the big fireworks celebration at the end of the Return of the Jedi, apparently the Empire is still a thing. Except it's not the Empire. We're calling it the First Order, but they seem to be literally just the Empire. But because we don't do a lot of world building in these movies, we don't really know, like, wait, is there, like, so is this the government? Is this not the government? Is this just a faction of the government? What is going on? And, oh, now Coruscant got blown up, I think, or, the planet with the Republic, so is that over with again? Doesn't matter. Space Nazis. That's all you need to know. The Empire probably was always space Nazis. Now they are definitely space Nazis because Nazis are a thing again, and they're going to be a thing again in movies, in metaphor at least. And so that's what we're doing. Or you can just watch A New Hope again, because that's when they did it the first time, and it was a lot more straightforward. However, J.J. Abrams understands that, you know what? We're in the future now in comparison to, the original Star Wars film and, not a long time ago. You understand what I'm saying. Special effects have improved. So we get improved effects. So yes, we're going to do droids again, but it's BB-8 now, who has all sorts of new bells and whistles we wouldn't have been able to pull off with R2-D2 at the time. And yet I believe that the majority of BB-8 is actual practical effects, which, god damn it, good on you. Spaceship scenes look so much more interesting. The sequence of the Millennium Falcon escaping Jakku is incredible. There's as good as ships flying through space look, they're always going to look a little bit better to us when they're flying in planet, because that's just how our eyes work. We are used to there being a more defined background that the ship is flying against, and so it's just going to look more exciting, and they do that. J.J. Abrams and Lawrence Kasdan's script gives us 3 interesting new characters. Rey, played by Daisy Ridley, perfectly cast, great character, really encapsulates the New Hope Luke Skywalker vibe. She's excited, she wants to be a part of it, she has a journey, she wants to find out where are her parents, but more importantly, who she is. We have Finn, played by, again, perfectly cast, John Boyega, who is raised as a stormtrooper, but just can't go along with it and has the guts to escape and try to be something better. It takes him a little while to figure out that he wants to be better. There's a lot of PTSD stuff that he's working through, which again is really interesting. And then we have our dashing Buck Rogers, Poe Dameron, which is only slightly a reference to Nicolas Cage's Cameron Poe in Con Air, played by, again, perfectly cast Oscar Isaac. And how you know that J.J. Abrams didn't really understand what he had there is if you really watch the movie, Poe Dameron was clearly supposed to die in the film. Appreciate it. If there's no body, you never know. But the ship crashes, the coat is left as, a clear handing it off to Finn trope. And, I think it's only after they saw how good Oscar Isaac is as Poe Dameron that it's like, dude, why are we killing this guy off? Because, dude, why are you killing this guy off? Just about every other thing, for every other new character or idea. And, I mean, we see it taking, like, a back seat to fan service for the original film. Or a big chunk of the movie is Han Solo and Chewbacca, who have, gone back to being scumbags because it's one of the things it's side note, a thing I hate about sequels that take place so long after the fact is they always come up with bullshit explanations for why the characters are older now. And it usually is some variation of, well, they left, or they quit, or they stopped doing a thing, and that's why they're older now, and that's why we didn't see any movies of them in between, when they were younger. But it's like, guys, you just could say, things have been happening, we have been doing things, but we just didn't make movies yet. Because, reasons that don't have. Not everything needs an in-story explanation. So because Han Solo is older, he has to have gone off on his own, and everybody has to have gone their separate ways. God forbid, they've just all been working together and been happy ever since the last movie, and with stuff happening. But yeah, Han Solo and General Leia are not together anymore for drama reasons, I guess. Like, unless you actually make it a central part of the film, just arbitrarily breaking up a couple never adds to your movie. 30 Days of Night, I'm looking at you. And we've got Kylo Ren, played by Adam Driver, who you can't even call him a character in this film because he is just fan service idolatry to Darth Vader. You can see, like, all he is just a guy wanting to be Darth Vader. He doesn't turn into a fully fledged character until the, I would argue, much superior Last Jedi, where it takes all the groundwork that was laid in The Force Awakens, the movie that was supposed to show that we can like Star Wars again, and runs with it and turns it into something interesting. Only for it to be completely backpedaled when J.J. Abrams came back, because it's like, no, we're not doing anything new. Nothing new. The idea was to do the same thing over again, but visually more interesting, which it was, up until all the lights go out on the planet killer thing, because, it's one thing to be in space and have all the jets all the X-Wings just lit the way that they're lit, but then when, like, the whole the trope is when the light goes out, hope dies. Oh god, it's so bad. When the light goes out, it's like, now I can't see anything, and that's always a pet peeve of mine when I going to a movie and I can't see the thing I've paid to see. It's annoying, but again, better special effects, new and interesting characters to run with, and so it's a remake of A New Hope, but we're adding to it and setting stuff up to be built on later. And it was, until it wasn't. And yeah, that's a different thing. And finally, we have Tron Legacy, which beats the other two just because it's a good movie. It is, plot point for plot point, Tron. And somehow, even though we know more about computers now, just like general awareness of what a computer does and how it works has really saturated every part of our lives now, even though there is that, this movie somehow makes even less sense than the original Tron. So again, because time has passed, we have to explain why Flynn hasn't been around. And the explanation is he's been stuck in the computer for 20 or so years. But luckily, his son, played by Garrett Hedlund, is tricked into going into the Tron world, the game grid, or just the grid. And a whole Tron adventure happens. And we have, instead of the MCP, it's Clue, which was Flynn's go-to helper program in the original film and played by Jeff Bridges. So it's fun. We get older Zen Master Jeff Bridges, and we get like artificially and creepy looking CGI younger Jeff Bridges, which, it works a little bit, like the de-aging thing being clunky works a little bit better in this movie since they're supposed to be programs anyway, but then you lose it because all of the programs that are being played by actors just look, normal and good, but it's fine. And the thing that makes this better than the previous two is the Joseph Kosinski, the new director. He had a vision. This movie takes the design ideas and tropes from the original Tron and updates them, and it updates them well. Everything looks great in this movie, in this weird borderline black and white neon filled movie, and possibly more importantly has the background of Daft Punk's incredible score to Tron Legacy, which builds on ideas from Wendy Carlos in the original film, and just again runs wild with it. It embraces, we're not going to come up with anything new plot-wise, so let's make everything around it as crazy and new as possible. And so, like, the discs turn into some of the more donut guys that just you can do more fun with. Yeah, have more choreography for the disc fighting scenes. You have the light cycles. Just look, I mean, They look so much cooler now. Everything about this movie looks so much cooler than the first movie, but not in a way that replaces the first movie, because if you're of a certain age, the first movie is just amazing. And we had jets, because again, it's about making it bigger and crazier, since we have the ability to do that now, even though we're still just going to end up back at the movie at the giant pillar of light, which, in their defense, Tron invented going to the giant pillar of light thing. That has been their thing since '82, or yeah, '82. But man, when you get into the whole point about the isomorphic algorithm AI people, it makes no sense. It's really just stupid. It's one of those. I tend to just skip that scene entirely when it gets to like the whole, the ISOs, and that was the thing. I just skip it, even though it ties into the whole thing. It's kind of funny. Whereas I completely forgot to mention, whereas the original Superman movie hinted at Christ illusions, Superman Returns really just leaned right into it and fell flat on its face. What's even more fun is that Tron Legacy has even stronger, subtler, and better Christ illusions, because if you watch, Clue is probably short for Clucifer, because you watch in the movie, Flynn creates Clue, who is himself as a program, and they are going to build the perfect world together. But Flynn keeps going back to the real world to raise his real son Sam, and the minute that becomes too much, Clue says, "No, I'm going to rebel and take over everything," and unfortunately he does, and then it just keeps going on and on out from there. And I've always just sort of liked how that was like a little subtle little thing. But again, not really a lot of new ideas, but just presented in new ways and beautiful. And dude, it's Tron Legacy. That movie looks so much better than so many things that come out, and definitely better than Superman Returns and Star Wars: The Force Awakens. So you end on the good ones. So that's 3 movies that had 20 to 30 years to come up with a new idea, chose not to, and had varying degrees of success in making it look cool and updated for the modern time. So I will see you guys hopefully next week, but if it's later, it's just because I'm tired and depressed and everything is weird. But I mean, that's the same thing for all of you guys, so I know you'll understand. See you later.